Hello, friends. My name is Naya Swami Hriman, and this broadcast is a weekly series that I offer on a variety of subjects. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about, is Christianity the true religion? I was raised as a Catholic, on the one hand. On the other hand, Paramhansa Yogananda, whose teachings I follow and strive to live by and to share, said that he had a very deep relationship with Jesus Christ. He had several visions of Jesus, and more to the point even than that was that he dedicated his ministry here in America between 1920 and 1952 to showing the underlying similarity between the true and original teachings of Jesus and those from India, especially as taught in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. But generally, both of those derive from the far more ancient teachings of the Vedas and the Upanishads and so forth. None of that being Orthodox Hinduism, however. Those ancient teachings represent a higher level of metaphysics that is universal and not constricted or restricted to any particular faith. So, what is it? How could Christianity break out of the enclosure from which it claims to be the only true religion? Well, it is a true religion, Yogananda stated. We see great saints in Christianity who worked many miracles, nothing less than Jesus himself, except perhaps his resurrection. And at the same time, we see great scandals and violence and misdeeds and condemnation of other people and their faith. How can we possibly move into a wider, more expansive, more knowledgeable, more heart-based world, all of which is greatly needed, with one of the world's largest religions being so narrow-minded? You know, when Jesus addressed one of the laws of Moses as being unfair and unnecessarily harsh, he excused Moses as giving that particular law by saying he did so because of the hardness of the hearts of his listeners. Jesus also ended many a sermon with the words, "For those who have ears to hear." Clearly, he was more than aware of the limitations of his audience to understand what he had to teach. There's even an exchange in the New Testament where the disciples, the apostles, complained about his endless parables, and he clarified to them that he gives parables to the masses, even though he knows they don't really understand, but to them, his disciples, he gives the deeper truths. That's right there in his own words. Christians don't believe in reincarnation. Jesus didn't teach reincarnation. Why? For the same reason of Moses. It would have completely misdirected his entire ministry had he opened up the conversation about reincarnation, which was poorly understood and debated, although not very keenly, in his time. It would just give people an excuse to put off till tomorrow, to the next life, that which they should work on today, which is being a better person. And so Yogananda showed how, like the teaching of hell and heaven, well, that was already part of the Jewish tradition. It found expression, in the Old Testament. And because reincarnation wasn't something they were ready for, when you're stuck with one life, what that means is at the end of one life, it's either heaven or hell. I mean, it's there's just no other choice if you only get one life. and yet you still live after death. And so the harshness of either heaven or hell was eventually mitigated by the concept of purgatory and the concept of limbo. But that teaching of heaven and hell was a necessary result of the confinement that Jesus had in which to express himself to those people in those times. Now the world is much vaster. The vision of science, whether in the macrocosm of the universe or in the microcosm of quantum realities, is such that a new teaching, well, I shouldn't say that. There's nothing new under the sun, but a new understanding. When these great saviors come, as in India they say they come in age and after age, they can only speak, as Moses and Jesus, all of them can only speak within the restriction, the range of what people can hear. And so Jesus was a son of God, Yogananda said. Yes, surely, but not the only Son of God. For as John said in the first chapter of his gospel, to as many as received him, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God, plural. And so Yogananda had this expression that Jesus was crucified once, but his teachings have been crucified daily ever since. Now, I don't know how much of that was tongue-in-cheek or not, but doesn't much matter. That's basically the case for all the great saviors. If you were to follow the history of all of them, Buddha, Krishna, Rama, and so on, you'll see Muhammad, great distortions of their teachings. And so, yes, Christianity is a true religion. It's not the only true religion. The different rituals and dogmas all have their place within the broader understanding. You know, when you belong to a certain faith tradition, it's like a great family. And you have your own ways and your own ways of speaking, your own language, your own culture. It's all wonderful and well and good. But to exclude or to condemn other great families makes no sense, because it's not that difficult to see the underlying thread behind all beliefs and goodness and virtue to begin with, the golden rule, but really much more than that, the soul's yearning for completion, yearning for perfect love, perfect joy, and to know, love, and serve God. So we need this new dispensation, which Yogananda said was his purpose in coming, in being born and coming to the West, as it says in Revelations, for the healing of the nations do I come.